we have a fireside chat on the Vision 2035, Leadership in Insurance, Looking Ahead, Moving Forward, and Winning. We invite Mr. Krishnan Iyer, the Head of Financial Services on Google Cloud, to the stage. As the Head of Financial Services for Google Cloud India, Krishnan Iyer leverages over 21 years of experience to spearhead the Google's mission of empowering the country's BFSI, NBFC, and capital market sectors. Krishnan is a leader in driving transformation by promoting the adoption of cutting-edge technologies like GenAI, data, and security. Please welcome Mr. Krishnan on stage. Our host today, guys. Our host today is Ms. Sayali. She is the co-founder of Fireside and board member of Lenskart and CMS InsurTech. Sayali is a tech and consumer products leader who is on the board of Lenskart and CMS and is an angel investor and advisor to several tech startups in India. She is the co-founder of Paysense, a leading financial fintech which was acquired by PayU, a large global investor and operator. She was the Chief Business Officer of PayU Credit India post this merger. Prior to Paysense, Sayali spent 15 plus years in US and Singapore building and executing strategies for leading consumer and retail companies in California and Chicago. Sayali holds an MBA from the Kellogg School of Management, Masters of Engineering and Management from Northwestern University, and a bachelor's degree in computer science from the National University of Singapore. Welcome, Sayali.
Thank you, and welcome, Krishnan.
Thank you, Sayali.
Krishnan, first I would love to start with your overview on Google's vision in AI transformation in insurance. I think we have been talking about tech applied to insurance across different parts of the value chain, but in broken ways. But AI is that one transformational moment where across the value chain we have a moment to innovate and disrupt the whole thing and maybe take India insurance to a whole new penetration and innovation level. So let's start with the overview.
Sure. So I think very, very important topic because I think when we look at AI's adoption from an enterprise perspective, of course, most of you practitioners here have already started doing a lot of work around AI. I think when we look at it from a Google's perspective, it's how do we really look at it from an overall ecosystem perspective? How do we really make a difference to the society at large, right? And Google, of course, has been the forefront of doing a lot of innovations. Healthcare has been a very, very important aspect for us to really look at how do we eventually do better for the society and the globe at large. When I look at India, I think most of the panelists spoke about under-penetration, awareness of insurance. If you look at Google Cloud specifically, we focus on driving the technology foundation for anything and everything that is digital. And everybody knows today that if you have to reach to the hinterlands, if you have to reach to the 1.3 billion population in India, the best route is to go digital. But if you look at it from an overall Google perspective, our ability to today reach the masses is very, very high. And I'll give you an example. So today, if you look at, there are 321 million households in India. The television penetration is about 287 million. But if you look at the mobile penetration, it's almost 827 handheld devices today, 827 million. And YouTube today is used by about almost 600 million of them. So the way people have started consuming content, especially in the rural areas, is completely changed. Search, of course, is a very, very powerful tool for people to, for example, 90% of the insurance that got sold in India was influenced by search, 90% of that. And today, a lot of people may be surprised that a lot of search happens through video. So people go on YouTube and ask them information in their regional language to give them information about a certain insurance policy, right? So with Google search, with YouTube, with technologies like Google Maps to identify where are the footfalls, bringing in geospatial data from Google Earth to identify climate and threat predictions, to Google Cloud, which can help you build the entire digital backbone of your organization, is what Google is looking at holistically to make the 2047 insurance for all mission possible, right? So if we have to really equate a mutual fund sahi hai moment in insurance zaruri hai, then I think Google would have a very, very large role to play in that work, right? Some of the work which we have done with Sahamati, right, the overall open finance ecosystem, just entered into a partnership to drive AI-based initiatives to make finance more inclusive. And that's the role which we are playing as Google today.
Similar to the Google search in native languages, I think in rural especially, voice plays a big part. And with voice and AI, powerful combination, how do you envision that changing the discovery and understanding and comparison of insurance products?
Yep, so one of the critical aspects is awareness of insurance and the ability to speak to individuals in the language that they understand. So voice, video, vernacular, all three become extremely important. Again, I'm sure a lot of you use a lot of Google technology to speak in the language that you prefer. But the ability for us to cover the 731 districts of India, each of their languages, their dialects, is very, very powerful. We've in fact worked with Bhashini and Project Vani to basically read about 150,000 hours of audio to basically make a very, very open source language data available for people to consume and build their products on, right? So that basically gives the ability for multiple technology providers to reach to individuals in the language that they prefer to interact with.
Yeah, but also we need to create new products. So how does this AI then play a part in risk? How do we use data from Samati, from the customer, but also all the data that companies already have and their understanding in depth? How have these played out in creating new risk pools, new products, maybe co-created with people who have different data on the same customer pools? Do you have examples here or globally?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a very, very pertinent point. Any large transformation that you see around technology today has to be clearly enabled by data. And of course, AI is the moment where people are trying to actually speeden the process of transformation. But AI in isolation doesn't really work. You really need a lot of data, and all the insurers sitting here, they are all sitting on piles and piles of data, right? Be it health records of their patients, be it their habits, the lot of data which everybody has. Of course, insurance industry also in India especially have already adopted a lot of technology. I think cloud adoption is one of the best which we see across the globe within Indian insurance industry. So they've already done a lot of foundational work which is very, very strong. But today, if you have to really look at all of this data, there are predictive models which most of them have already kind of deployed. And largely, earlier, most of this underwriting used to happen based on, the actuarial data tables. Now, Google with its stack of BigQuery, Vertex AI, primarily our ML models, is able to help you churn these huge volumes of data in quick time and provide you very, very powerful models to quickly and very granularly do a risk profiling of people. So earlier what was very generic has now become very, very specific. What it means is today you can hyper-personalize your products and offerings. For example, if you want to create a new insurance product for gig workers, you can actually bring in multiple data sets, and today Google provides the technology for you to use all of the data sets to basically create products which can, on the moment, kind of an insurance, right? So those are the kind of hyper-personalizations we are enabling. We, of course, are also seeing a lot of motion now with AI, Gen AI specifically, working on top of these models to start looking at unstructured data in a much more granular fashion, right? So you had a structured data, you had a model which could process that much more faster and hyper-personalized products. Now with unstructured data, the power has become even more better. So for you to read a 50-page geological data document to understand are there risk profiles, AI has made it so easy that now the underwriter can focus on the real strategic stuff and not really go through and read a lot of material, right? And that becomes very, very powerful when you start looking at new products that you want to launch.
Absolutely, I think, and that's the transformation I'm looking forward to. All of us need to drive that. But there comes with a fear of security. As people start sharing data, creating co-created products, there is a fear of, should I really use all my data into this model? Who is taking my data? Is the model taking my data? Is somebody else taking my data? How have you guys addressed that with your partners across the world?
Sure, maybe I'll add compliance also to that, because I think there is a clear belief, and most of the cloud providers have been able to demonstrate it also, that security has never been a concern with the large hyperscalers, right? Because by foundation, we have always taken security very, very seriously. So if you look at any of Google's properties that each one of us are using, be it YouTube, Google Maps, Chrome, they've never been hacked, right? Yeah. Which means that we take security. So I think security is definitely an aspect. As long as you move your data, is the data secure? Answer is yes. Is it fully compliant? Yes. But do we have a role to play in making the regulators understand how we work? Yes, that is a work which has to happen. And now, as you rightly pointed out, with the advent of generative AI, the worry in terms of what's happening with my data, as you rightly said, is it being used to train models? I think we look at AI in a very, very responsible fashion, which means that anything and everything that an enterprise needs, we are the only cloud provider, for example. If you create any content using Google's Gemini models, we give you 100% indemnity. So if there is a copyright issue that comes out of that, we give you indemnity. We give you in writing that none of the data that we take from enterprise is used to train the LLMs that we have, right? So again, security becomes a very, very foundational piece for us to really look at how enterprise adopt. And we have very, very specific products, again, for example, Gemini Enterprise, which we just announced a couple of weeks back, is a very specific solution and product which is designed for enterprise, and it comes with all of these foundational security principles.
Transformation is truly first foundational, right? So, but on that note, on the fairness of these AI models that are making decisions, even if they are using your own data also has your own biases, right? And the models start making more of those biases faster and also amplifies their impact because it now applied to thousands more users every day than before. So how are some of the fairness aspects coming into play? Have you seen some of them in your work across financial services?
So of course, that's a very, very important topic. And as I mentioned, responsible AI is something that Google takes very, very seriously. Foundationally, when Gemini was built, today, of course, it's one of the largest multimodal large language model. At the engineering level, there are a lot of safeguards which are taken to ensure that the model itself is extremely inclusive. It is unbiased for a lot of reasons, but eventually it's a machine. When I look at an enterprise scenario, what you're really looking at is, if the AI is going to take a decision, I should be able to trace the decision as to why it was taken. And was there any bias introduced while the decision was taken? I think today for enterprises, we've got very, very strong platforms like Vertex AI, Gemini Enterprise, which gives you full authority in terms of how you would like the model to play. So if while there is a large language Gemini model, what aspect of the Gemini model should you be using and how do you really control all these aspects is fully modularly designed through the usage of our platforms, right? So we basically ensure that none of the non-responsible aspects of adopting AI doesn't naturally come when you do an enterprise adoption, one. Second, we do a lot of grounding of data. So what we guarantee you is when we use LLMs for enterprise use cases, it will only talk to the information that you give to that model, which means that it is highly grounded. And then there are mechanisms of grounding with Google. So Google search is a very, very solid basis of today getting information out. And we basically ground a lot of this information using Google search. Today, tomorrow, if you're doing an underwriting of a specific location, we use Google Maps to really identify whether that location really exists or whether it is hallucinating. So there are, because of the overall Google strength and presence, we are able to really pinpoint and ensure that none of the junk data is coming out. Third aspect also is important, that when you're using a generative AI tool specifically to make decisions, is it error-free? Answer is no, that there could be errors, right? And hence, how do you really put this practice? And we sincerely believe that today in enterprise world, AI is an augmentation tool, right? It's a companion for you to make your mundane jobs much more faster. It's not really a replacement tool for making large decisions, right? And of course, there are mechanisms of putting a feedback loop. So if there is an error which we have caught, there's a human in the loop that falls in the process flow in the platforms that we offer. The human corrects that data and then that gets fed back as an information to the tool. So it's a very good flywheel mechanism of arriving and making your models much better. So that at one point in time, I think we'll all be very, very confident that the decisions that these models are taking is fully secure and fully correct, right? Till that time, we will have to have a human in the loop.
We'll have to keep cross-checking the definitely. I think one of the big aspects is the mundane jobs and the efficiency that AI can bring. Like, how can more people focus on the front-end consumer and the back-end jobs, whether of verifications or claim processing, and all of those get automated as far as possible. So have you seen good examples of this playing out already, where enterprises are unlocking this kind of efficiency and seeing that benefit?
Absolutely. I think from our perspective, when I look at it from a financial services perspective, what we are seeing, insurance adopting generative AI in production is much more faster than other financial services organizations. And I think across the value chain, right from onboarding a customer, doing huge amount of data processing. Today, I mean, if I have to take a 6-month back scenario, a lot of OCR technologies people will building, while they were accurate, it still needed a lot of training. Gemini today does this out of the box. So you really need not spend any time today with some of the solutions that we have to do any set of training, right? You can just pass on a document. And when I talk about documents, we're talking about very, very complex medical records, handwritten prescriptions of doctors, X-rays, CT scans, MRIs being read so professionally and so intelligently by a ready-to-deploy agent which Google has, that people are sitting up and noticing that the power of AI to completely transform insurance operations, which of course is the largest cost element, is phenomenal, right? We've been doing a lot of work with UK-based insurers, US-based insurers, a lot of insurers in India. Of course, I cannot name them as of now, there's not public references, but we've clearly seen a huge amount of operational efficiency coming in, be it onboarding, underwriting, and claims processing, right? We've been able to capture the moment of the truth when claims come for processing, reading through documents, understanding if there is something which is missing, communicating in an email in an automated fashion, and once the documents are in, processing the claim. And all of this entire process, we've been able to kind of shrink it down to minutes now because of AI and agentic intervention. I think that's one of the biggest opportunity insurers are looking at transforming when it comes to generative AI, is changing their operations and moving their cost structure. So if you save money here, you're going to spend that money in building much better products and ensure that you reach more and more people using that money. So that's what we're seeing clearly.
Lastly, I would love to dig a little bit into Google Health. I'm very excited by what Google is building in health and how that can be used to, again, hyper-personalized insurance product creation and then pricing and engagement. I think what all of us get annoyed by is that that's the one time your company remembers you is when renewal happens, but there is no engagement through the year. So how can Google Health and predictive models in that help insurers engage with customers beyond renewals?
Yeah, this is another moment, right? In the insurance industry, it's largely become a transactional conversation between the insured and the insuree. How do we really convert that into a much more ongoing relationship is a challenge which we are all trying to solve. And of course, there's a lot of work which is happening. Google in particular has been focusing on completely changing and leveraging AI to completely transform this relationship, right? From a repair and replace to predict and protect, right? So that's the motion that we clearly seeing happening, right? Today, if I am able to tell a house owner that in the next 48 hours we expect storms in your vicinity and we would like you to take precautions, and here is a checklist of what all you need to do to take precaution, and here is a vendor, is a partner who can come and cut the branches of your trees so that it does not impact your house, and there's a 10% discount coupon. You're suddenly having a different relationship with that individual, right? Of course, Google Fitbit, is again a beautiful tool. We are all speaking about wellness, right? It's not anymore about the risk of the life, but really how to engage with your customers to make them much more fit and live a much better life. So Google Fitbit, of course, we use a lot of privacy aspects that if the user is willing to share their daily data, how do we really get a lot of this information to help the user to become much more fit? So it's not just about giving them premium benefits when the renewal comes in, but naturally tell them, that we've been observing you, that you have had a knee pain, and we would like to suggest you some exercises which can be light on your knee, right? And send those videos of those exercises to them. Then is when the relationship between that individual and the insurer transforms, right? So we are clearly seeing this entire connected health ecosystem playing a large role today. And again, data and AI is enabling this big time.
Thank you so much, Krishnan. I loved how you balance the visionary future with the pragmatic here and now ideas that people can use right away. Thank you. This was a great session.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.